We've all heard of the Wall Street cheat sheet, but I want to show you guys my personal updated Bitcoin cheat sheet. This video is loaded with valuable information, so if you appreciate it, you know what to do. Smash that like button and subscribe. And with that, let's jump right into it. So what I'm looking at here is the oldest Bitcoin chart that I know of, which is Bitstamp, and it dates back over 10 years. And I've come across many potential market bottom signals, but of course we will also discuss a few things to be cautious of before we get too excited here. But I want to start out with just pointing out our previous market cycle all-time high obviously doesn't get much more important as far as resistance goes than a total market all-time high like that. And what we love to see in a healthy trend is you want to see resistance flip into support as well. If it was a downtrend, you would want to see support flip into resistance. But you can see that the price has so far been respecting the hell out of this box and trying really hard to get that flip. It doesn't have to hold, but this is obviously an important level that I have mapped out. Not only that, but even on this parabolic run to the upside, it was some of the only sideways consolidation that Bitcoin actually saw in this parabolic run here. So there's some good structure there. I really like where that green box is and how it's lining up so far. Next, I want to point out this upward sloping yellow trend line. It hasn't been tested a whole lot, but you can see that it hasn't really been broken. Every time that we end up testing that level, it ends up being as well just ready to enter a bull market there. So this doesn't necessarily have to happen again. Of course, we could drop this yellow line, flip it into resistance, and just dump to hell from there. But so far, this is holding, and that trend line dates back almost 10 years. So even though it hasn't been tested too many times, just the length of time that it's been respected, I'm willing to at least give it some consideration there. Next, I want to talk about the RSI. You can see that we did enter oversold territory on the weekly RSI here, and I've outlined these with these vertical green dotted lines here. So you can see that so far that has been, well, so far our market bottom. Obviously that can change, but so far that's what it is. And you can see in these two previous bear markets that this also marked a perfect bottom. You can see that lines up very well as back here, oversold conditions, and that's where the market bottomed out there as well. So definitely something to consider there. I also drew out these purple dotted lines, these vertical ones. And what I'm looking at here is this downward sloping resistance line in the RSI. Just kind of going from where oversold territory just got a little minor retest, and then where the RSI lined up very well with where the price was also testing a downward sloping trend line. So I mapped out with these purple dotted lines where the RSI broke out from its downtrend. And you can see that these two previous market cycles, it was absolutely just an early indication that the price was about to break out from this pattern and enter a bull market. It did take a little while, obviously. This is a lot of data here. These are all weekly candles, so it did take some time. But you can see that it was just one of those early signals, just as it was here. I mean, it was before the price broke out. So good to see there. And we have done that again just in the very recent weeks here. And we are kind of coming up towards that downward sloping trend line. So I wouldn't be too surprised if this is just another one of those early warning signals that we may just kind of end up breaking above this downward sloping trend line on the price and entering a bull market from there. Obviously, once again, there's a lot of time between now and getting that breakout potentially. But definitely just something that I wanted to point out to you guys. I think that's a very interesting little pattern on the RSI that we're seeing. Another thing I want to point out, for those of you who have been following along in my channel for quite some time, you'll know that I just won't shut the hell up about this 786 Fibonacci line. And if I go from our previous bear market low to our bull market all-time high, the 786 lines up absolutely perfect with the bottom of this green box, which was my resist support flip box. So definitely something worth considering there because I just love fib lines and specifically the 786. And one other thing that I want to point out here is after Bitcoin gets its all-time high in these market cycles, you can see that it pulls back and it ends up forming some sort of a flat support level, which it eventually drops and gets its final capitulation. Same with this infamous descending triangle that many of you will remember. Once we dropped this support level, we got our one final capitulation to the downside. And if you look at our current bear market, you can see that we have had a very well-defined flat horizontal box of support here, which we ended up dropping obviously, and we got, I'm just kind of taking an educated guess here, may end up being the final capitulation. Once again, guys, obviously anything can happen. We could see the price dump below this box, respect it as resistance, as I mentioned, going from support to resistance, and that could absolutely just send the bears into a heyday, just having a blast while all the bulls shit their pants and don't know what the hell is happening in the market. Those are all just a few things that I want to point out as far as bullish scenarios go. I just wouldn't be a proper analyst if I didn't at least consider some bearish technicals as well. Something that is just a little bit alarming is the 200-week moving average. You can see that we are having a hell of a time getting back above it. I was actually under the impression we were going to start flipping quite bullish when we reclaimed that 200-week moving average. We obviously dropped right back down below it, and now we're starting to respect it as resistance. So I can't discredit that from a bearish stance. That is a little bit alarming, because if we look back in Bitcoin's history with this 200-week moving average, right back to where Bitcoin actually had enough data to create this thing, you can see that it just ended up sending Bitcoin into absolutely just beautiful parabola there. And you can see that our bear market bottom in 2018 there, that is where we found our bear market bottom. We started finding support along the 200-week moving average. We did dip below it here just a little bit, but you know what? I'm going to discredit this, because that is when COVID, the initial COVID panic dump, happened across all markets. So I am willing to consider this a black swan event. I don't think that we would have actually dropped that 200-week moving average if it wasn't for COVID. But yeah, just the fact that we're having a hard time getting back above that 200-week moving average is a little bit alarming. I think that now, after setting a double bottom on the weekly with a bullish divergence on the RSI, if we were to reclaim this 200-week moving average in the near future, I think then Bitcoin will be in a very good position to start flipping that into support. One thing that I also want to go over is Bitcoin has the tendency, when it enters a bear market or any sort of serious crash, it loves to get 80 to 85% corrections. You can go back to this bear market here. You can see that it corrected about 87%. This 2018 bear market, we corrected about 84, 85%. And so far with this bear market, we have only dropped about 75%. So we do have some room to the downside if we are going to get that full measured move. Obviously, markets mature and they can get a little less volatile and that sort of thing. So this could be a little bit different. I hate the phrase, you know, this market cycle is different, because yes, there's always reasons in the media and stuff like that where this market cycle could be different. But I just really, Bitcoin loves to repeat certain characteristics, and I think this is an important one. So if we were to get that full 85% correction, that's where we are targeting closer to 10,000 US dollars, you guys. Even an 80% correction would take us to, yeah, around that kind of 13,000 US dollar price target. And I've heard a lot of analysts claim that we're heading towards 14K or 10K. And that would absolutely be backed up by that little bit of information there. So that is something, that's actually the main reason why I want to be cautious with this trend, is I could see us getting that full retrace. I would catch a lot of people off guard. And a lot of bears will be happy because they'll actually get the entries they're looking for, although they'll probably change their entries and say we're going lower at that point. So have to see what happens. Either way, I outlined a whole bunch of technicals why I think that the bottom could be in. I am more than comfortable spot buying at these levels at least. And if we end up dumping down below this green box, I have no problem just spot buying on the way down. because I personally don't really think that I'm lucky enough to get those entries again. So if we do get them, I'm going to take them. Even if there's a flash crash that goes much lower, I just think that if Bitcoin's down 80% or anything like that, I just don't think it's really a bad time to be spot buying, at least. Obviously, leverage trading's a little bit different, but as far as spot buying, that's a dip I am willing to go balls deep in. One thing that I want to point out too, just something to be a little cautious about, is if we do end up getting a nice big pump to the upside, I think a lot of people are going to get very bullish at the wrong time. And I think that we're going to see a pretty harsh rejection if we end up climbing to like that 49 or 50,000 US dollar level. And my reasoning for that is if I pull my Fibonacci's top to bottom rather than bottom to top, looking for levels of resistance instead of support, you can see that the 618 lines up fairly well with around 49,000 or just above that. And on top of that, it lines up with this lower high here. So I think that's an important level in the market. Again, like when it comes to Fibonacci's, I mean, there's a reason I have my 618 and my 786 a different color, because those lines can be respected quite well. And just going back to just show you some examples of what I mean here. If I go to our previous, well, I guess start of our bull market, end of our bear market, you can see after we set the lows of our bear market there, that's exactly where the price ended up getting a harsh rejection at first. Everyone started getting very bullish on this, well, even this is a mini parabolic run here. Beautiful upswing there. But people were getting very FOMO-y, thinking that, you know what, this is the next bull market. We're just absolutely exploding. Wham, hit the 618, get rejected hard. About a 40% correction or something like that. So you can see that played out beautifully, or not beautifully, depending which side of the trade you're on there. And as well, going back to our previous market cycle, even dating back a little further, you can see that the same thing happened, pulled top to bottom. Bottom of the bear market there, we started rallying. Where did we get a harsh rejection? Was right at the 618 fib. So it seems to be one of those repeating technicals with Bitcoin. As soon as we end up reclaiming that level, you can see that it's going absolutely parabolic. So I think it's going to kind of be the same thing. Yeah, so that's just something that I want you guys to watch out for, as well as that 50,000 US dollar level would be a very nice round number. And I could see just from a psychological point of view that we might see a harsh rejection there as well. What I want to see before I start screaming with the Moon Boys and, you know, claiming that we're about to go absolutely parabolic. Remember, there's a difference between thinking the bottom is in and thinking we're about to explode to the upside. I think there's absolutely room that we just trade sideways for many months. And again, this chart can change drastically. If we end up dropping this level, things change. Obviously, analysis changes with the charts. You can't always predict everything. But just showing you guys some things that I am interested in with this little chart here. But yeah, before I get too bullish, I think what we want to see is, as I was mentioning, that our bear markets do get this horizontal support box, which ends up failing. But you can see that when we reclaim that box and reclaim it as support once again, that's when our bull market really ends up taking off. Again, this happened in our previous, or our most recent bull market rather, is we ended up reclaiming this blue box and flip it into support once again, and that's where we went parabolic once again. And yeah, just gotta say it one more time, yes, we did end up dropping that box briefly, but it was very quick, and once again that was a black swan event, so I don't think that we would have dropped this blue box either. In fact, if I bring up that 200-week moving average, it would have lined up perfectly with the bottom of my box. I think we absolutely would have found support there if it wasn't for that black swan event as COVID. So anyways, friends, obviously none of this has been financial advice. Always do your own research to form your own opinions. But if you appreciated this video, please do me a favor and smash that like button, subscribe, and share this video with a friend if you think it's useful. With that, I'm out. Stay safe, my friends. Peace.